Well, this talk's different, isn't it? It's not the usual one. We're normally talking about the Dharma, some such thing, and it is Dharma, I suppose, in a way. So I think, I kept running this over in my mind, and we could start from this angle, we could start from this angle. There's so many angles that we could start it from. But really, the thing I want to start with is, as you all know, the Manchester Buddhist Centre is not a centre, it's the Manchester Buddhist Sangha. That's what really, really counts. Now, it doesn't matter where we are. Of course, it does matter where we are, of course it does, but the Sangha is what is important. Without the Sangha, what's the point of the building, really? So, and it's such a successful Sangha. It's a really, really good Sangha. This is, first of all, we're one of the most important, in many ways, call it the centre for the sake of argument, I'm not referring to the building, centres in Europe. I sit on the exec of the European Chairs Assembly, where there are potentially 70 chairs, and this is one of the jewels in the crown in many ways, even though it's had its problems, like every other centre. Boy, oh boy, do the other centres have problems, just in case you want to know that. They do. They do. And yeah, we were hit hard by COVID, so was everyone else. And some are recovering better and some not. But there's so much going on here. We've come back. The young Buddhists regarded as probably the largest and liveliest young Buddhists in the whole, certainly of Britain, apart from the LBC, possibly. We think probably better than the LBC, don't we? I hope none of them are listening. I'll get in the net for that, but anyway, never mind. And so that's fantastic. We've got more people becoming mitras than I can remember. 3 ceremonies this year we'll have because so many people want to become mitras. That is fantastic. Really, that is the core of what keeps the Sangha going. The people want to join as friends. And I was at the convention recently, as a number of you were, a number of order members were, 500 order members. And we had this wonderful session where we applaud everybody, all the new order members for the last period. And, the line just went straight out. But it was just like a competition between Manchester and Glasgow. Yeah, there were so many. There were so many Manchester order members. It was lovely to see. I just thought, yeah, we've got the strength to get forward. We can do this, come what may with the building. And, and attaching to a building, even a lovely building. This building has got a great mythic quality to it. The team that built it sweated blood over this place. Whenever I remember our president always tells me how absolutely appalling the job of getting this building was, lugging up sand and blasting walls and get them back to the brick, and freezing conditions and goodness knows what else. They really put incredible effort into it. But he, like other senior members that I've spoken to, have said, yeah, but it's a building. It's a beautiful building, and it's part of our whole myth, but it's not everything. It's not everything we can. And, Manchester Sangha has had at least 2 other manifestations. I'm not quite sure whether it's had 3. Certainly had Chorlton, and what was the previous one to that? What was that? Withington, I think. But I think there might have been a brief presence in Longsight. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. So we are the 4th iteration then in that case. That's true. Oh. Maybe we'll check that later. Buddhism argument. That's 4. Let's go for 4 anyway. 4 will do. So I've been a trustee for 8 years, and even when I first joined, subject of whether this centre was fit for purpose was in the air. I remember Padma Darshini was there, and Andy, I think, probably was there then, and so on. Various people have come and gone over that period as trustees. And we all love the building. Everybody loves the building. What's not to like? It's beautiful, yeah? But it's not an ideal Buddhist. If you were to sit down and go, right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to design a Buddhist center, a big Buddhist center? What am I going to do? You would not make it 5 stories tall. You would make it horizontal so that we had, for example, accessibility for people with disabilities. We don't have that, and we can't even make it. It's so expensive to convert this building. So it's not ideal. And it also creates this sort of strange us and them thing that often comes, even though so much of the Sangha is now, and it's the most successful period we've ever had for volunteers and people getting involved, a lot of which Vishankar has worked with really successfully to encourage people to join us as volunteers. And yet we still seem like that lot up there, and there's nothing much we can do about it because that's where the offices are. It's a shame. It shouldn't be like that, really. It should be all kind of mucked in together, really. But that's the building. And it's the leakiest old bucket there ever was. So it's beautiful. Yes, it is beautiful. But it's got a roof that would cost next to 400,000 of men. It's got windows that need double glazing. 100,000 would be the latest estimate. Disability access, probably upping towards 100,000 now. Would you spend 600,000 when you could do so much with that money to help the Sangha in other ways? We could do so much with that money. It would just be crazy. But it's, we've got a very strong heart connection to this building. I have. My entire near 20 years of being in the movement has been here. I haven't had another centre, so same for many of you. Some of you much longer, and then for some of the people here, it's their first centre, and they've only been here a short while. So really, really sad to take it away. And we're not going anywhere in a hurry. My estimate, and it's worth not a lot to be honest, because I don't know, is 1 to 2 years probably would be the timing to leave here. And I do want to stress that it's really important. This is a chance for everybody to really think about this, to have their heart connection to this idea, to express themselves, for us to listen as the team, for the trustees to listen. But the one thing I want to say is we can't stay. So that isn't the angle. It isn't the angle that we're here to discuss how we can stay, because we really can't. I've looked at the finances. I've looked at them with the Samagama. And it's not that we haven't got a generous Sangha. We've got a really generous Sangha, actually. We're really, really fortunate. And a big thank you to you all for your standing orders and many contributions. Really valuable. The finances of this building no longer stack up. And I just don't see the idea of pouring money into trying to keep it going. Doesn't make sense. So let's do something better with the money. Let's do something better with it. And our principal aim is to keep the Sangha together as strongly as possible. It can be done. I'm absolutely sure it can be done. If you move just like that without discussing it, you lose a lot of people. We're not going to do that. We're really going to do our best. And in a way, bizarrely, COVID has actually helped. We have Zoom to help us, much as I'd rather always be face-to-face, but we have Zoom to help us, which didn't exist before. Well, it probably did, but we didn't know about it. So, we can keep things going in other ways as well. But there's so many ways we can keep it going in any interim as well. We can meet in houses, we can meet in all sorts of places, we can hire halls. But I don't want to do what another well-known Triratna Centre has done. We are not going to close this centre and have no home. We are not going to do that. So we will identify, I imagine, a temporary, an in-between place where we can go from here. Where that is, I can come back to some ideas in a minute. We will not be homeless. So it's really, really important. We will find somewhere, and then with the money we get from this building, whatever that is, we can then think, right, we can think big. We can have all sorts of discussion groups, the trustees, the team, you guys. I don't know why I'm gesturing there. I should be gesturing up there to the people online. We've all can contribute to this. And there are a lot of different ways we can go, and actually they're all rather exciting. And I'm not suggesting where any one of them is fixed. None of them are fixed. But here's some ideas, right? I mean, it came out in the email anyway. But it's been suggested, for example, that we might get the bottom of a shiny residential tower here. There are a lot of them around because they just can't find anchors for their ground floors, and they desperately need somebody to anchor them, and perhaps at very, very little rent. Okay, that could be a temporary home. If we can get one, we can go zip straight into one. As if it would be that easy. Poor Vishanka has nightmares about how on earth we'll get the Rupa out of the shrine room. But anyway, I guess we could just lean on one of the old windows and that will solve that problem. So yes, maybe we can do that. And then we can sell the building, or already sold it, and start to think. And we can think of all sorts of ideas. And over the years, there have been many ideas. There have been a lot of ideas. I've sat through meetings. You have, Padmadarshini, I know, in trustees. Oh, let's do this. Let's do that, So one idea that a lot of people want, I want it, I must say, but it's just one view amongst many, is, for example, to have a retreat centre. So people from Blackburn, people from Lancaster, people from Liverpool, people from Cumbria, and so on, and other northern centres would love another retreat centre. So maybe we could get somewhere in Lancashire or something, That's one possibility. For weekend retreats, your GFR group could go, your chapter could go, your study group could go. We could have retreats like that. And whatever we do has got to be sustainable. This is a problem for Triratna worldwide, or certainly Europe-wide at least. I know this. Arta Vardin, the previous chair, is a good friend of mine, is now the director of the International Council, and he says, we've got to become sustainable. We have a fantastic, energetic Sangha, but many of the old models of where we sit, how we arrange ourselves, so to speak, are not financially sustainable. But they can be. They weren't set up in that way. That's fair enough. It was very early. It's still a young movement. So we've got to be sustainable. Retreat centres, if run properly, make money. It's not that I'm here about making money. I don't want to make money. The point is we don't want the tail to be wagging the dog. We're always talking about how to fix the place and how to raise enough money to do that, when we should be teaching the Dharma and enjoying Sangha, moving forward together. And we do that. We do that. And we spend an awful lot of time worrying about the money as well. So let's have sustainable models, whatever they are. And that takes thinking. So what about communities? Well, I know, speaking to some of the young Buddhists a few weeks ago, that there are quite a lot of people who would like to be in communities. Communities really generate Sangha. They are Sangha engines, really. Well, maybe we could buy a community or two. That would be great. They're sustainable. Shall we grow a centre out of its proximity to communities like the LBC? Look at the LBC, has lots of communities around it. It's a Buddhist village. Well, now that's fun. That's a great idea. Maybe we can do that. I don't know. That's another possibility. So, look, there's a lot of ways to go. Whether we have an old school in Ancoats or a shiny tower in Spinningfields or whatever, all these things are possible. But we just have to look after each other and keep the Sangha together. That's the really, really important message here. So I really think this is doable. We're not going to do it in a great hurry. We're going to try and minimize harm and suffering, because there will be. We're all attached to this place. It's going to feel very sad, I think, for many. And some people will be disadvantaged. Some people will say, hey, I can't get to that center properly anymore. Well, actually, you know what? Some people can't get to this center. So wherever you put it, there will be winners and losers. So we have to take that in, and we have to understand that. We have to have a proper feeling for that. And of course, we can't just choose what we want exactly. You can't do that either. Otherwise, we might dream something up, and there it would be. I think that's probably all I need to say at the moment. I will say one other thing. So we were talking about this, how to start to move forward. And it's exciting, but it's also pretty scary, I have to say. It's like, oh my God, we're going to have to deal with building agents, and we're going to have to deal with this and this. And then we came up with the idea that we could really do with a project manager who actually knows how to do it. To be honest, the idea of project managing the whole thing while also kind of helping the whole Sangha to continue in my role as chair just seemed overwhelming, although of course I'll be heavily involved in this project. So we had one thought. Who do we know who is a project manager, has those skills? And that is Leela Shuri, who is one of our trustees. And we're all sort of quietly praying that she'd say yes, and she did say yes. So she is going to take that role on. Yes, thank you, Leela Shuri. Starting with 1 day a week, she's going to start working on this. And we'll create teams. I think we'll have maybe a core team of a few people who really do things, talk to agents, do this, do that, whatever. But then we'll probably have subgroups from the Sangha, and we might be asking you, and you may be volunteering, and all of these things, who can work on a certain area, who have a certain skill, certain interest, certain time available to do something. So it will proceed like that. But the minute she mentioned Gantt charts to me, I thought, this is the woman for me. She knows what she's talking about, and I don't. So I felt reassured. So that's how we're going to proceed. And I think that gave the team a lot of confidence, actually. Yeah. But she'll need a heck of a lot of help, of course. She's not actually going to do it all. She's going to project manage it. It's very different. Okay, I think that will do. I'll hand back to our compares.